The Fantasy Footballer Studio is brought to you by Amazon Prime. Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Welcome in. They call it Wednesday. December 11th, the Fantasy Footballers Podcast.
Some call it Hump Day.
Jason Moore is here.
Mostly camels. What are you doing over there? You got
Mike Wright.
Got some hot news, Jay? You're leaving the show there to look at your watch.
No, I left nowhere. I just got a text message.
It said,
okay. Is it from Shefty?
No.
No, it was a reminder. It said, reminder, you have to start someone off waivers this week in your playoffs, and you don't know who it is.
I will say this. For my playoffs, I am super excited for waivers to run, and not because of who I'm picking up. I'm praying someone's dropped, man. I'm like, come on, people. Drop someone that's startable.
You know the dragon meme? Have you, with the like really scary-looking dragon?
The Hydra, the three-headed one?
The three-headed Hydra. And there's the Hydra, Hydra, and then there's Jason in the playoffs.
Yes.
Like Jason's the third Hydra.
For sure.
You should find that, Al. You should find that meme here for the YouTube audience. But
they know it.
If
you're on YouTube, you know exactly what we're talking about.
I guess they were down with the Forrest Gump reference.
Yeah.
So we're good.
These are internet people.
These are internet people. There it is. Yeah, that's the one. Hungry for more today. The NFL news. We've got some for you. We got Thursday night preview. We got some mailbag. And we'll be talking everything playoffs, everything fantasy playoffs, and how, the mindset. We'll have waivers go through at some point. And, Jason's doing good. Jason's doing real good. Got news this morning. A little preview of the news, but Breece Hall.
Yeah.
Uncertain for week 15.
Fantastic. Who needs him? There I am.
There he is.
There's
everyone else in the league in the playoffs. There's the 6th seed.
Yeah.
Right over there on the right.
6th seed.
Yep.
Trying to find someone better than Kendre Miller or Kareem Hunt or MVS or Calvin Austin.
If you want to go on a Where's Waldo, Jason, there are multiple guys on the waiver wire, in my opinion, right now that I would be playing
over them. Yes, for sure.
Where's Waldo?
I don't want to give them the names.
But that's
there are some neon signs in our waiver wire right now that are like for your team. Everyone else, everyone else is.
No one's claiming these players. I get whoever I want.
This is a $0 fab bid.
Right. Well, I have $0, so that's great news.
So all in.
You are so like. How are you in the playoffs?
I shouldn't have been, and that's how I want to win it. I'm telling you, I want 3 wins in a row, and I don't want to score more than 80. I want to back my way into that ring.
You need to play Kendre Miller, because do you really want a title where you haven't played Kendre Miller as your flex? That is perfect for you.
So I'll be honest. I'll just reveal. I know my opponent is in the room on waivers, but when I'm looking to make a start, the way that my team is, I want glory. I'm going Troy Franklin or something like that over Hunter Henry, who, maybe he's got a higher baseline. Like, I don't care, because I want my glory. I want my name on it.
Let's talk about this for a second. This can be in lieu of our quick question for today, because I think it's an interesting discussion to have. We often give the advice, if you're a major underdog, which a lot of people, you're going into your playoffs this week, you're like Jason. You're the kind of weird looking Hydra, right? You don't belong.
He's a cuddly Hydra.
And we say,
Thank you, Mike.
Well, you need to take your shots, right? You want upside. But we know this from the world of the great parlay out there. You can't hit 6. You can't hit a 6.
You're not hitting a plus 50,000 on your playoff week.
And so, like, if you have what I'm saying is, if you have too many pieces of your lineup that are all dart throws, you're not hitting that plus 115,000 parlay with your lineup. Troy Franklin plus Kendre Miller plus MVS plus Dontavian Wicks, like they're not all hitting together.
So what would the advice be?
Well, to me, it's like
fewer injuries.
Well, sure, that would have come weeks ago, or having your backups or whatever. But I would say that you got to pick a couple. I think it's just got to be one or two. It's got to be the baseline plus a couple of lottery tickets.
You're saying
that's all I'm saying.
What you're trying to say, not for me, but for the Foot Clan. If you've got a couple of holes to fill, instead of just going for the touchdown variance upside, the Rashad Bateman times 2.
Correct.
You're saying get
Maybe
one
it's
guy.
Ray McLeod.
Exactly. A McLeod, a Hunter Henry, someone that has the targets, has a baseline, and then throw in another shot for a touchdown upside.
Then it's Xavier Worthy. Then it's Bateman. Then it's an upside guy. I don't know if you have a different thought, Mike. It's just
no, I'm in complete agreement.
Hitting on all of them is just so improbable that you'd hate to hit on 2 and lose because the other 2 did nothing.
Right.
Is my point.
And factoring in, like, looking at your matchup, like, I will he's looking
at your matchup, Jay.
No, like, legitimately. Like, it's trying to identify on the other team's side, like, who has an actual chance of not coming through.
Do you think it's Kyron Williams?
Kyron Williams,
Justin Jefferson, or Josh Jacobs,
Josh
Trey
Jacobs.
McBride, or
Josh Jacobs is the player
Robinson?
I would identify
that
this week.
Sounds like a really good team.
It is a very good team, Owl, but obviously Josh Jacobs
a little too good.
Jacobs will be ranked very high because the guy's having a fantastic season, but he is getting super lucky when it comes to touchdowns. Last week, it was like 60-something rushing yards for Josh Jacobs.
Right.
I know he scored 3 times. Awesome for fantasy football, but he's against Seattle on the road, and the Seattle defense of late has been much, much better.
Held Connor to 9 yards rushing 2 weeks ago.
There is a chance that players on the other side have subpar weeks. Like factoring all of those things in to your whatever your witch's brew dirty mojo that you're cultivating over there.
I'm looking at this thing, man, and you
have no shot.
You got a real uphill battle, man.
I'm gonna need about 4 or 5 injuries on Jer Bear's team.
What you need is a Jameis Winston.
Oh, you're trying to get me to put Jameis back in there?
He's in there right now.
Yeah.
So, look, I just think pick your dart throws wisely out there. Those of you that are underdogs, do what Mike said. Last week, for example, I went into a matchup. I was a 30-point underdog. Things happen quickly. We don't know if Kenneth Walker's back. We don't know if Breece Hall is back. We don't know if George Pickens is back. He's
not.
Well, they said, there's a slim chance, but injuries can happen. Underdogs win all of the time. By the way, shout out to all of the people sharing their 0-6 stories.
Yeah, I love those stories.
Getting into the playoffs, it's awesome. So, what do you do if you're in a different situation than Jason, Mike? If
you're on the bye week?
Let's say you're on the bye week.
Sure.
Hypothetically speaking, you're on the bye.
Bye week is if you want to sit and do nothing, okay. I wouldn't recommend that. I would be looking around of there are our league of record. There are still a couple backups. Maybe these are not backups to starting running backs for the playoff teams, but those are the guys that if something goes wrong, the value absolutely skyrockets.
Find your future Garindo.
And yeah, exactly. Find the future Garindo. And then I had someone ask me hey, I'm on the bye week. Is it fair game? Because they have kickers. Could I drop my kicker and pick up a backup running back? I'm absolutely. You're not fielding a roster. You're not tampering with your matchup. You're trying to make your team better. So it's things like that. Maybe
that's a good one.
Or you're my defense is I wasn't able to load up and prepare for that. You got crap defense. I would rather have some insurance running backs on the bench while I'm not playing, just in case. So there are tiny little strategic moves that you can do to try and shift the balance of power into your favor.
All right, let's move forward.
Welcome to Hungry for More, presented by Uber Eats.
By the way, I don't know if you guys knew this, but I have given up the habit. I'm no more chewing tobacco on the show.
Oh, that's good. Did you switch to the pouches?
Yeah, I know that. Is that what
the
is that a
Falcon?
thing?
Falcon. What are those things called?
The Zins?
Zins. Okay. I thought I would ask the young buck, but
I just wanted you guys to know I gave up the habit.
all right, good for you.
Ever since my days as a relief pitcher in Major League Baseball.
Probably, but is that why the tooth fell out in the first place?
That's right. Yeah, it was deterioration. All right, hungry for more. I'm taking an angle here with hungry for more of it's not always the diamond in the rough that you need in the playoffs. Sometimes you just need a little bit of consistency. And so my hunger for more is actually Brock Purdy. Not for Brock Purdy's sake. For Jayden Jennings and George Kittle. I need...
What about me, Debo?
Debo,
It's me, guys.
Debo is the dart throw. But
Remember when I was good?
I feel like Debo is that meme right now. It's like
and the
Kittle
other two are Kittle and
Jennings, and then there's Debo.
And he's
and
like,
there's Debo.
I need the ball more, guys.
If only I had the ball. No, I want to be able to count on George Kittle for the remainder of the year, and I want to be able to count on Jayden Jennings for the remainder of the year. Those are the two players that have been so good when Brock Purdy is good. He has been a top 10 quarterback himself in 5 of 7 starts, and the division's close enough where the 49ers are still alive. So I am hungry for more consistent offensive performances from the 49ers that guarantee me that George Kittle and Jayden Jennings are key parts of a fantasy championship run.
I'm just this is, just it's an aside. But I'm having the realization here of like Jayden Jennings is like this is more San Francisco magic of like he's Brock Purdy. Like they drafted Trey Lance at they traded everything to get Trey Lance, moved up to the 3, and then they got Brock Purdy with their last pick of the draft. They gave Brandon Ayuk all that cash, and they gave Jayden Jennings just a little bit of an extension this offseason.
Well,
and Jayden is everything that they wanted Debo and Ayuk to be.
Yeah, I thought you were going to bring up, it was Pearsall that was supposed to have the role. And,
that too.
And it's Jayden Jennings. No, I mean, by the way, Debo Samuel, fewer receiving yards this year than Hunter Henry, Alec Pierce, Chris Godwin, who hasn't played since week 7.
Just because I don't get the ball.
Cade Otton, Ray McLeod, Christian Watson.
I need the ball.
What is that voice?
I don't know.
Oh, man, Debo has fallen.
It's Debo.
So, Jason, who's your hungry for more candidate?
My hungry for more candidate was Mike's last week.
Yeah,
and
baby.
It was great, and so I'm going back for second helpings or dessert. I'm hungry for more Jaylen Waddle, and really what we saw last week was awesome. The way that the Dolphins' offense worked was better.
Why is that, Jason?
Well, it might just be because they started targeting Tyreek Hill and Jaylen Waddle instead of Jonnu Smith and Devon Achane, and lo and behold, more explosive, bigger plays, higher scores.
They had to go to overtime.
Yeah, I was going to say, and then they had to lean
They
on
barely
Jonnu.
won.
They had to lean on Jonnu to win the game.
First read targets. This was pointed out by Jared Smola. Tyreek Hill 34%, Jaylen Waddle 34%. Jonnu was down at 9%. They still won the game, but Tyreek and Jaylen Waddle had good games.
Yeah.
And honestly, Waddle, the last few weeks, you've got an uptick in target share. He was 15% the first 11 weeks. He's been 19% the last 3 weeks. Finally getting it done. You feel like you could start him, and I think you can start Jaylen Waddle. The matchup this week, it's a good team, but this is, I think, the actual specifics of how he's matching up against that defense works for him. They're getting him yak opportunities the way that, that's really his superpower. And he even had 3 red zone targets last week, which he had 3 in the previous 8 weeks combined. So let's stay in the flames with Jaylen Waddle.
I love it. He's a good player. He needs the ball. I want to bring up Brian Thomas Jr., who I feel like is a little bit of a blind spot right now because the season started so well for him. A later round rookie pick. He was a first round guy by the selection by the Jags. He's coming out of the gates super hot. Then you had just a weird lull in the middle of the season. Not weird. We knew what happened, but it was frustrating of this player he's the chosen one. He's supposed to be a superstar here. It had fallen apart. Trevor Lawrence is out. Mac Jones is in. And yet, over the last 3 weeks, Brian Thomas at 82 yards, 76 yards, 86 yards, or 76 yards, then 86. Like, he's putting up strong yardage totals, and he's kind of felt like I can't possibly play him with Mac Jones. It's not something I can do, and yet he's been producing. So I thought he was an interesting player of having the conversation of I think we got to move away from Brian Thomas can't possibly be a starter for you. He's back.
Oh, he could definitely be a starter
for you.
Me.
Yeah,
Mike, I need Brian Thomas to be starting for
I'm
me.
saying there's a lot of teams in the playoffs.
Brian Thomas Sr. could start for Jason.
Yeah. He'd probably do not too bad for me.
His first 2 double-digit target games of his entire career came the last 2 starts with Mac Jones. So there is a bit of a Mac Jones is out there just throwing it around, right? Like Parker Washington had a big game with him, and Brian Thomas Jr. will get the opportunities. He might be missed on them, but he'll have the opportunities. So I think it's fair to look at him and say, hey, maybe we need to renew our confidence.
Like the last 3 weeks, with Mac, Evan Engram it's nothing. Like Mac Jones, different play style here. We get start to pay attention to the trends here and not just, it's a backup quarterback. Brian Thomas is a great player, and it seems like Mac Jones has enough to get him to be a fantasy starter, at least a flex position.
Well, he's always a threat for a big, long touchdown, and he's still been double digits the last 3 weeks in fantasy. So the floor is probably much higher than we thought it might be with Mac Jones, which is, I think, your point. So hungry for more opportunity for Brian Thomas because those are explosive plays. That was Hungry for More, presented by Uber Eats, where you can get the best deals on game day food all season long. Uber Eats, the official on-demand delivery partner of the NFL. You can order now. All right, let's jump into the news.
News and notes from around the league, presented by USAA Insurance.
He was and never was. Zamir White on injured reserve for the Raiders.
Yeah.
He has a sweet 2.8 yards per carry this offseason and is a perfect example of why moving forward and away from your franchise running back doesn't always go the way you hope.
It carries tremendous risk. I don't remember the stat because I don't have it right in front of me, but him and Zach Moss were the 2 players, before the season of guys, the percentage, the actual amount of people who break out in year 4 or wherever we are, drafted where he is, it's 2 people. And the odds were so against him, so hopefully you avoided him, which is wild considering he was supposed to be the starter. Pierce kept saying over and over he's going to be the guy. And Madison, the backfield had value. Alexander Madison was very startable for a stretch there, and Sincere McCormick looks like he's a very startable
only the backup
too.
Can be good. Zamir was the starter, and so that just can't.
He was good when he was the backup.
Exactly.
And it was a mirage to end the year. It was a lot of opportunities that didn't translate into him being proficient in this season. So Breece Hall uncertain for Week 15.
Yeah.
Their head coach said he is, quote, struggling a bit with his knee injury. Yeah, I mean, that's how injuries work.
Not improving as much as he'd like.
Yeah, that means he's not going to play this week. If right now in the middle of the week you're saying it's not improving, I'm struggling with it, I didn't play last week, that's not I'm going to suit up.
Or if you do suit up, I'm going to be a big part of the offense when you know you can get something from Allen and Davis on top. I mean, it's almost worse for fantasy players to tease this out too long.
Yeah,
and not make a different plan.
Well,
if you had a plan.
Yeah, you have to have a Breeceless plan because you're going to have a Breeceless team this week.
I bet you wish some of your teams were Breeceless.
I certainly do.
Well, they are.
Yes, they are. Hitching my wagon to Breece Hall is hurt.
George Pickens has a, quote, outside chance of playing in Week 15.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to play. I did the this week's episode of the Dynasty podcast, and we were talking, George Pickens' long-term outlook. So if you want to check out that conversation, it's on the Fantasy Footballers Dynasty pod. But we're talking with Matthew Betts, certified PT, and his opinion was more of he's putting Pickens at very questionable for next week. Where I was on the opinion of I think there's a chance he suits up next week, but Betts is more concerned than I am.
Well, it's just going to be what's on the line for the Steelers in the final couple of weeks. Is it playoff positioning, divisional championship. What is going to be on the line, and how long can you wait on George Pickens?
Schedule-wise, it's wild.
It's Baltimore, right?
This week is Philadelphia.
Yeah,
who they are. Or I mean, that's
they're
a really
heavy underdogs.
Yeah, that's a tough matchup.
I'm sure.
Then the divisional on the road with Baltimore, and then they get the Chiefs, which if they keep winning, like that game against the Chiefs, there is a chance that the Steelers are trying to steal away a bye week. Like that's not. I know it's wild. Buffalo is there and everything, but
where are they at? 9-3.
I think they're 10-3. Let me double check that. But it was, Pittsburgh is a 5-point road dog. They're 10-3. So they're 10-3. The Bills are 10-3.
2 games behind the Chiefs,
and the Chiefs are 12-1. But they play the Chiefs.
Yeah, it just seems hard to believe that they're going to win against Philly and Baltimore the next couple of weeks. But we'll see. Sean Payton talked about Marvin Mims and his expanded role as a running back. Because
okay, Sean.
Why is this quote in here?
I don't know why it's in there.
Because it's funny. Every time Sean Payton talks about Marvin Mims, you're like, yeah, right.
Isaac Guerendo did not did not participate in the walkthrough. Most people's opinion that I've read is that he's not going to play on Thursday. Now we don't
do is walk.
But it's a foot. It's a foot injury, Mike.
But
I mean,
that's
literally the hardest
I would
thing.
expect him to be able to be at the walkthrough if you're going to play in the game.
I would agree with that. If he's not participating in the walkthrough, seeming less likely that he will play. But we kind of talked about this yesterday. We know he's not going to practice. If he plays Thursday, they basically said he's not practicing until then.
That was today's news and notes presented by USAA Insurance. Learn more at usaa.com/insurance. We'll take a break. We'll hit the preview. All right, it's time to jump into our TNF preview.
Thursday Night Breakdown.
Well, we just talked about Isaac Guerendo, so that will bring us into this discussion. The Rams at 7-6 taking on the 6-7 49ers. The 49ers are 2.5-point home favorites. The over-under's 49.5. And, I think this is a pretty fun matchup for Thursday night. This is a game where in the division right now, the Seahawks are 8-5, Rams are 7-6, Cardinals are 6-7, 49ers are 6-7. So, you're here where Arizona plays New England at home. They're going to be favored there. They could go to 7-7. And if the 49ers fulfill the, the line here, there could be 3 7-7 teams with the Seahawks maybe, a game ahead. Because they play the Packers. So it's a competitive division where literally all 4 teams are still in the mix. The Rams coming off their biggest win of the year, 44-42 over the Bills. It was an outrageous game to watch. It was outrageous for fantasy. Kyron and Puka and Kupp all getting it done. Even Matthew Stafford, fantasy-wise, was very good. Obviously, they played each other earlier in the year. The Rams won the game, 27-24. The running back is the question mark for San Francisco in this game because it's a very, very vulnerable Rams defense. The 49ers are at home. The Rams are 23rd against the run. Tell the world what to do, guys, and totally don't include asking me.
If Guerendo is out, I would have confidence. I would play Patrick Taylor as like a top 24 option. Jason, you seem to have more hesitancy than I do, but I would. It's tough. It's a really tough decision here, but I think the Thursday night with the early game plan and these guys, like, I'm not worried about Keyshawn Vaughn coming in. Abanikanda he's the more interesting player, but he was just added to the team. He was inactive on Sunday because, of course, he just got there. And then with the short week, I think they would really lean on Patrick Taylor. Now, can he get it done? I think I would have faith in the system and faith in the matchup. So all those things put together, Taylor is a startable guy.
Yeah, I mean, it is most likely going to be Patrick Taylor. My worries with being confident in him as the starter is that I can see a world where Israel Abanikanda comes in and basically becomes this starter. And if he is, he was inactive last week. He was new to the team. He is the best athlete of that running back room that is left alive, and that is usually who they put in. So it's tough. I mean, to call your shot on a start for Israel, Izzy would be very, very difficult to plug.
You can't start him.
You can't, Mike.
You cannot advise starting.
I mean, he may not even be active.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, obviously, I do not recommend starting a guy who's not
Never tell
active.
me the odds.
I'm still putting him in. You can't stop me.
I think Patrick Taylor has one game where he was the guy in Green Bay a couple years ago. He had 11 carries, 53 yards, 4.8 a carry, scored a touchdown. Otherwise, we don't have a huge sample size of what he'd be able to do. I mostly agree with Mike's take on this. If you were going to ride one, that would be the one I'd give it a go. He got 7 carries last week after the injuries. And then really the advice on a Wednesday is not very good advice here. That's kind of part of – I mean, we need a little bit more on Garindo's availability and who's going to be active on this game. If you did get word that there's 3 backs active, lower your expectations for Taylor. It would just concern me a little bit.
Well, I think they might have 3 active. I mean, like Garindo's how have they been doing it? I mean, like when McCaffrey, Mason, and Garindo were all active in that Buffalo game, I think they'll have 3 no matter what. So
yeah.
I don't know if that's signal for Patrick Taylor or not.
Are you at the point here, let's say it is Garindo's just inactive and they have Taylor, Vaughn, Abanikanda active. Would you just punt and play Sincere McCormick against Atlanta or the Gus Bus or DeAndre Swift? Or are you going to take your shot at getting what people got from Garindo last week,
right,
which is the production from Patrick Taylor?
There's such a long history of backup running backs coming into great success with Shanahan's time at the end of the year. I mean, this is not a new situation where I want a piece of that. I want to take a shot at the big play. So I would probably still put in Patrick Taylor.
It's like the Browns running backs, I would go with Patrick Taylor. I'd play him over Jaylen Warren. I think I'd put McCormick ahead of Patrick Taylor against Atlanta. DeAndre Swift against Minnesota, or take the shot on Patrick Taylor.
No, Patrick Taylor.
I would go Taylor.
Yeah.
The last time these teams played, Juwan Jennings, 11 for 175 and 3 with Debo out of the game. Debo's in more of the kind of like active, inactive state right now.
He's hanging out.
But Jennings is in.
Yeah.
Kittle, of course.
For sure.
Cup and Puka.
Are you benching Debo?
I think I'm trying my darndest. There's a squeaky wheel narrative for the week. The matchup is good. The last time we saw him fantasy relevant, it's been one time in the last 7 weeks. And it was the wide receiver 24, 5 for 62. He's had
that was 10 points on the dot.
Right.
Barely got there.
Debo,
yeah, he actually did that back-to-back weeks.
Debo or DeAndre Hopkins against Cleveland?
Debo.
Can we shut the podcast off?
Oh, wow.
No, I'm going to go Hopkins.
I didn't know
I'm going to go Hopkins.
Yeah, I'll go Hopkins.
I'd go Hopkins. Debo or Amari Cooper against Detroit?
Cooper. I think Debo is probably someone that you're looking to bench.
He's a wide receiver 4.
I mean, if I had Adam Thielen off of waivers, that's an easy Thielen.
But otherwise, Kyren, of course, get him in there. He's been scoring, and if you need to take a shot at quarterback for whatever reason, Brock Purdy, I think, is very, I think 300 yards is in the cards in this game, and
it's possible.
The running back room.
You like it more than Stafford?
Yeah, and the running back room being kind of depleted lends to maybe Purdy having to do more with his legs
and throw touchdowns. It's when they get around the goal line, I'm not sure. Usually they're just a run the ball in type of team, and that can hurt your fantasy value. But when you're on to your 17th running back on the depth chart, it might be a little bit more difficult to find rushing touchdown success. So I like when you look at the two quarterbacks, I'm like, I kind of like Stafford and his weapons better, but when they get to the goal line, Kyren is far more likely to score the touchdowns and take them away from Stafford than Patrick Taylor is for Brock Purdy.
Yeah, Stafford's high on the year in a 4-point is 27 points against New England. Even in that Buffalo game, where if you started Stafford, you're thrilled with the outcome. But a team that scored 44 points, Matthew Stafford was the QB7. He just passed 20 points.
And Purdy's been very good. They're favored. They're at home. The defense for the Rams is not very good.
And
I'd be playing him over, a lot of options this week.
The case for Purdy is also we're having this huge discussion. Well, who's the running back? Like,
it's Purdy.
It's Brock Purdy.
Yeah, to some degree it really is. He's running the ball a lot more. He was the quarterback 5 last week. He's got a few games this year where he's, rushing touchdowns in 2 of his last 5 games. It's an okay play. I think it's a stable play. Is Juwan Jennings a must start in your mind? Like,
about as close as you can get.
Yeah, he is a must start.
What if you've been this is going to hurt to ask the question.
Yeah.
But you talk about somebody who's been struggling with a bad matchup. A.J. Brown.
I knew that was the name you were going to bring up. I knew that was the name.
Let's put you to the test. A.J. Brown or Juwan Jennings?
If I had those two players, I'd put Juwan Jennings in. And I know it feels insane.
The over-under is almost 10 points higher.
Juwan Jennings.
But how do you bench A.J. Brown? How can you live with yourself?
Yeah, I mean, the names make it very, very, very difficult. Juwan Jennings versus A.J. Brown.
I'm trying to tell people, let's plug it in. It's Juwan Justin Jefferson Jennings.
There you go.
Just do that, and you'll feel a lot better about it.
You would feel a lot better. But, I mean, 3 of the last 4 weeks, A.J. Brown has not gotten to 10 fantasy points in half PPR scoring. The matchup against Pittsburgh. I mean, I'm not saying by any means bench A.J. Brown. This is more of a pro Juwan Jennings take than it is an A.J. Brown take.
All right. We'll turn the page. We'll jump into the mailbag. You ready, Mike?
Yeah.
Mailbag.
Ooh, yeah, it's the playoffs. All right, if you have a question for the show, go to the website, thefantasyfootballers.com. Visit the site, click that Submit a Question button, or you can dial our voicemail hotline, 302-464-TFFB. All right, we'll go here. We'll start with the mailbag.
Hey, Ballers. This is Craig from California. QB start sit question. Do I go Jayden Daniels on the road against New Orleans or Bo Nix at home against Indy? I got Cortland Sutton on the roster, so I like that stack option. And just for reference, I'm the projected underdog facing the Burrow Chase stack. Yep.
No, that hurts. That last one facing the Burrow Chase stack is not where you want to be. This is really interesting. Bo Nix has been on fire, has the much better matchup. Personally, I cannot imagine benching Jayden Daniels for Bo Nix.
Me neither. No,
I would not do that.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on that? Just definitively don't mess around.
I would not. I'm going to be honest, guys. I'm scouring Twitter for news. I'm a little distracted. This is not fantasy related, but
wait,
this is football.
What
related.
is it?
It's football related.
All right.
A bill has been introduced in Ohio that would make it a felony to plant a flag in the center of Ohio Stadium. Remember how Michigan put a flag down in the middle of the field? We're getting the government involved. Ohio, what are you doing?
Oh, my God.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Make it a felony?
They put their flag down. Win the game.
All right, now
win the game.
Teach me some politics. Can anyone write a bill, or do you have to be an can I write a bill?
You would have to get a bunch of signatures. Okay. But if you were in the government, you could.
I'm just hoping that someone in the government wasn't the one that wrote this bill.
It's the Ohio Sportsmanship Act.
It was drafted by State Representative Josh Williams,
who's wasting taxpayer dollars.
Oh my!
And now you're wasting our podcast time because I can't not talk about this. They put the flag down in the middle of our stadium.
Is that Debo?
No, that's Josh Williams,
Oh
representative of Ohio.
They put the flag down.
That's
Okay.
a felony.
A felony.
Right,
You're going to prison.
Execute them. Death penalty.
Right to jail.
right to jail.
I mean, doesn't a judge see that and go, what the? Or do they have to? I mean, the judge has to follow the law, right? Execute them.
I really hope, like, I want to look this bill up. I hope it's like three sentences. It's just like, if you plant a flag,
right to jail.
Right to jail. Oh, man.
Sorry, guys. It was too much for me to not bring it up.
Okay. Jim Bacco says, Tucker, Kraft, or Sam LaPorta, I feel obligated to start LaPorta. Talk about obligation in the fantasy playoffs.
Do you owe Sam?
No, I understand, because the names, when you get in the playoffs, it's hard to bench those big names. Sam LaPorta,
LaPorta gets Buffalo.
He was the first, tight end, or the second tight end drafted. Buffalo is top 5 against tight ends. It's not a good matchup. Kraft has a decent matchup this week against Seattle.
LaPorta has 2 top 12 finishes in a row. He's piecing it together a little bit, but not.
I mean, you would
6 targets or more, 4 straight games, 5 of 6.
Yeah, but 19 yards, 6 yards.
Who's going to score a touchdown?
And 54 yards.
Who's more likely to score a touchdown? That's the honest question in this one.
I believe, matchup wise, I think. I lean Kraft.
I think I'd rather play Tucker Kraft, but
I have them back-to-back in my rankings.
Yeah, that's how it always happens. I'd rather play Tucker Kraft, but at the same time, like, which one is more likely to shoot out?
Yeah,
Buffalo and Detroit.
Yeah, I'm going to play LaPorta. I'm going to play LaPorta. Yeah, the matchup, the fact that over-under is 54 points. Yeah, that's going to be my answer. Let's hit another voicemail. But which button did I push last time? Can you push the button of the one that I didn't push?
I actually don't have them loaded in mine. They're only on yours.
Oh, you got to
take a shot.
Let's go. Is it 50-50?
Oh, boy. I don't remember which one I pushed. Here we go.
Hey, gentlemen, question for you. I'm an 11-point underdog.
Good job.
And I have Jalen Hurts and Tua. I also have Tyreek and Achane on my team. Do I start Tua over Jalen? Thanks, and love the show.
Oh, my goodness.
I've actually seen Tua Jayden Daniels question thrown out there this week, too, on Twitter, where, obviously we're in the overthinking part of the year. A bet on Tua when you have Tyreek and Achane is a full. All the chips are in on Miami. 11 points
That's
to
not
me
a huge
is not.
underdog.
Yeah, it's not an overwhelming underdog, and you can't really, like, if you have Tyreek and Achane and they do well, and Tua scores 30 points, and Jalen Hurts scores 35, he's still the better starter, right? Like, you just want more points at the quarterback position, and I don't think I need the correlation to, Jalen Hurts is probably who I'd go with. A lot of people want to start Tua this week, though, the way he's been playing.
Okay, but let me give you the last month of both players' scores, okay? One of these players month has scored 18, 15, 17, and 24 fantasy points.
Okay.
The other player in the last month has scored 23, 28, 25, and 23 fantasy points. Just based on that alone,
is that Tua?
Which player would
No,
you
I think
choose?
he's setting me up, and I think Hurts has got the better numbers.
Tua has the better numbers.
Oh, baby!
So what are you doing, Jay?
I think because of the correlation, that does push me over the top. I would put Tua in. The Houston Texans, I worry about Tua in tough matchups, and that's where it's like, is this a tough matchup? Statistically speaking, they're middle of the pack. They're 17th against fantasy quarterbacks. The Houston Texans are. You could see this game maybe getting into a shootout a little bit. It's a harder matchup.
If it goes south for Tyreek and Achane, if they're underwhelming, your game's over. It's over if you start Tua.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of how do you really feel like you're a heavy underdog or not?
Didn't they?
You have to bank on. It was 11.
They were 11-point underdog.
That's nothing in projections.
I would have a hard time. And I think Squeaky Wheel AJ Brown is going to get the ball in the air this week. So that's the way I'm going to go.
Can I remind you that right now Pittsburgh is ranked number 1 against fantasy quarterbacks?
No, you may not remind me.
Okay.
You may not remind
retract
me
it.
I don't feel like we answered the question. So, Mike, just give him an answer. Because me and you split, Jay. So just say the name that's definitely going to score the most points. Mike?
I think I would go Tua.
dear goodness.
I would go Tua.
Here we are. All right, let's take a break. We'll answer some more questions. Was there ever a point where you thought you'd be recommending Tua Tagovailoa over Jalen Hurts in the fantasy playoffs about
no.
6 weeks ago?
No, if you were like week 3, yeah, I can see that. But what? It's cold outside. I don't think so.
It's there you are. We've got lots of DK Metcalf questions coming in because the question of start your stud or not. Metcalf has been struggling to produce for fantasy.
He's been very banged up, playing through injury, not practicing.
They play Green Bay. Metcalf or Jamison Williams or Adam Thielen?
That's hot.
I'm going Metcalf there with all of them.
Remind me of the Panthers matchup.
Yeah, I mean, Metcalf's last 4 weeks, you don't want to look at him.
They've been underwhelming, but the targets have still been there, right? He's had, I believe he's had 9 targets in a handful of games.
The Panthers,
I don't have the
4. Yeah,
2 of 4.
So the Panthers played Dallas,
averaging 7.3 a game in that stretch. But we also saw a lot of targets for Jamison Williams last week. That game's that 54-point over-under. 8 targets, 7 targets, 7 targets for Jamison Williams.
If I need a good old-fashioned 10 to 12 points, I would play Adam Thielen. And if I need, like, Thielen's not giving you the point outing. Well, that would be Jamison Williams. But if I need,
so is there no Metcalf answer?
I don't think I'm playing Metcalf, man.
James Cook question is in a similar start your stud vein, comes in from Baker Drew. What do we do with James Cook? I've heard rumors that he's having his workload reduced for the Bills' playoff run.
Oh, okay. That would make sense.
He's explosive, but he's not involved when they're in a negative game script.
Where are we hearing these rumors? We just hear someone saying they're hearing rumors, and we're taking
anything on Twitter is a rumor, Jason.
I think what Mike is alluding to is the fact that we were sitting there dumbfounded on Sunday when he had 6 carries and was not on the field for quite a stretch. Now, they probably wanted to win that game. You know what I mean? That's the opposition of the rumor, is that you're right there with a chance at the bye. You're telling me they don't want that bye from Kansas City, and they didn't have James Cook out there. So to me, it's not so much workload reduction. And by the way, they achieved a workload reduction last game. It's more game script. So how do you think that the week is going to go for them? That's more what I'm thinking. And I have James Cook in a couple of places for fantasy playoffs this week, and he's right back in my lineup.
Yeah, he's right back in my lineup as well. Obviously, last week was just an awful outing for him. 6 total carries, but you go back the last handful of weeks, he's usually double digits. This game against Detroit, we talked about the over-under.
It's the highest of the year.
Yeah, so I want James Cook in my lineup.
What about him or Ramondre? It's James Cook.
That one's easy.
What about Dowdle against Carolina, who's coming off a couple big performances, or James Cook?
That one's easy for me still, James Cook. I think that the touchdown opportunities, that's the issue with Dowdle. Dowdle's been running really well. He's clearly going to get the workload and the opportunity. If you say who's going to get more carries, it's Dowdle. But if you say who's going to score more fantasy points, touchdowns are so valuable in fantasy. I think I've got to be on the James Cook side.
He has 6 touchdowns. James Cook did in his previous 6 games, and in 4 finishes in the top 10. We probably need to just trust that they're going to get him involved again. But it's scary. Dowdle should be okay this week. Dowdle or Pacheco? I take Dowdle in that one.
Mm-hmm.
That question comes in from Big Dom.
Big Dumb?
Big Dom. Dom.
Okay.
D-O-M.
It sounded like you said Big Dumb.
It's Big Dom DeFoort.
DeFoort? Okay.
All right. Colton wants to know if you can explain fantasy points above expectation and how to use it in start-sit decisions.
Sure. So above expectation, like this
is our schedule adjusted.
Right. Yeah. If you're looking at our strength of schedule and you click the schedule adjusted button, basically it's saying it's looking at what is that player score on average before going into that matchup.
Technically the team. What is that?
The team. The team position.
Yes, correct.
The team position at quarterback or the team position at running back. And then in that matchup, looking at their average, are they against that defense? Is that defense allowing more points above average, or are they holding running backs, team running backs under their average because it's very, very helpful, and it's a better way to look at schedule. The easiest way to point it out is like tight ends.
Yes.
Right? You can look at just raw points that a team has given up to the tight end position, and you look at their schedule like, oh, they played Trey McBride, Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews 3 games
focal point tight ends
in a row, where this other team played
Carolina and
like
teams that
the
don't.
tight ends are just not involved. So that's why we average it out or adjust for schedule based off of that positional average. So hopefully that made sense.
Yeah. So it's just giving you a different baseline than just looking at the raw numbers and giving more context, which is hopefully going to benefit you long term in making those decisions. All right. Lady Nafy on Instagram says, my league is voting on whether to add a wild card playoff for week 14.
Huh?
Nope.
Is that?
So
It's like a wild card playoff round. Someone gets in. No. There are bye weeks in week 14 in the NFL now. That's going to make it a disaster.
But so that, as in, like, the most of the league does not play? It's just the 2 wild card teams? Is that how it would function?
I would assume that the playoffs would all start
Matt,
that week.
do you feel like you understand this question?
Yeah, I think playoffs should start early.
Yeah, playoffs start in week 14.
And more people have a bye?
More people have a bye, and more people get in. You can argue on one hand that that's cool that just more people get a chance at the playoffs, and it's not really affecting others.
I mean, I got a big reason why not to.
But the week 14 buys, that's going to ruin all the teams that are playing. It won't feel good. You'll have a lot of upset, unhappy players, whoever happened to have the week 14 bye weeks in the playoffs. I would vote against it for sure.
Yeah. I mean, the bye weeks are really disruptive. I mean, we just went through 6 teams with tons of fantasy players that are relevant that made an impact all year, and then you don't get them. That's tough. That would be hard to swallow a loss. Tomorrow we have starts of the week and the matchup breakdowns for week 15. No bye weeks to worry about starting tomorrow, and we've got more matchups in the Wheel of Shame on Friday. Mike will be with you Sunday live. Make sure you tune in, watch the show on YouTube. If you're listening, you can check it out, youtube.com/thefantasyfootballers.
Hey, Keon Coleman, fully practiced.
Is that what we got? He's coming back?
It sounds like it. That's great news for Josh Allen.
He doesn't need any more good news. He's breaking records without it.
He'll still take it.
It's bad news for Amari Cooper, who's I thought maybe he started get going.
Yeah.
But now we got Shakir and Coleman and Cooper. I bet you Kincaid will be back soon.
How is Keon Coleman rostered in our league? I'm like, oh, yeah, baby. Let me go run to the waivers. They haven't ran. I got 5 more minutes.
You're in dire straits.
Everyone's rostered.
Yeah. Good luck.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.